Hello, class. This is Professor Gildersleeve. I wanted to do a very short video here to kind of catch us up with where we are in the class and point out some things to help you with the subsequent assignments. I'm about midway through grading the week three um, proposals and uh, journal entries, and these are just a few quick things I wanted to point out. Um, I've been really impressed with the work that I've seen so far. I think that all of you that I've read have really, you really understand the assignment, and you've come up with some projects that really fit in quite well with proposals. And most of you understand quite well that you're writing to a specific company and you're proposing something that somebody is going to take your proposal. They're going to consider it, and they're either going to accept it or reject it based on what you've written, and also based also on other things that the company has to focus on as well, budget and all that sort of thing. But the idea of a proposal is to propose a very specific idea for that's going to improve some aspect of the company's business or operation or something. It's going to address some problem that they have, whether they know they have the problem or not. Most of you understand that quite well. So these are just a few things that I want to point out that I've seen while I'm going through these, and this will also help you with the subsequent assignments in the class. One first thing is please use the models in the textbook. Most of you have done that. A few of you have not. But it's really helpful if you use the models in the textbook. For example, in our textbook on page, in my version of the book, it's on page 86. I don't know if your online version of the book has the same page numbers or not, but I don't know how well you can see this, but this is outline 6.1. And you can see that it lists exactly what should be in a proposal. The introduction up here has three elements: a purpose statement, the background, and the scope. The scope is the thing I see that's most often missing from proposals. The scope, it basically just says what your proposal will cover and what it won't cover. And that's very important because it helps whoever's reading the paper to understand uh, the parameters of your proposal. There are some things that you won't be addressing in your proposal. You may, depending on what your proposal is, you may not be addressing personnel or cost or certain other elements that are related to it. But that if you tried to include all this stuff in the proposal, the proposal would just be too long and unwieldy. So a proposal is it's very helpful if it's focused, narrowly focused on a very specific purpose. This stuff is very important, and in the introduction that you write out, all three of these need to be here. They need to be written out in some detail. The rest of this, the discussion, the costs, the contact, those can be written out in just one sentence each because you're not writing a full proposal. You're writing an introduction and an outline. The rest of it should be an outline. And you can just do a couple of sentences here just to show that you've given some thoughtful consideration to each of these elements. Another problem that I see occasionally is that some people they'll do the introduction here, but not the rest of it. It's important to include these steps as well to show that you've thoughtfully considered every aspect of the proposal. And sometimes students you can do this in one of two ways. You can either write the introduction separately and then write the outline, or write it all as one thing and just fill out the introduction. Either way is fine, but all of these steps have to be considered in one way or the other. Please also be sure to include that time cost sheet that is part of the assignment as well. And that's where you look for resources that pertain to your topic, to your proposal. And you briefly, you put in the URL. We're not requiring you to do a full in-text citation, or I'm sorry, full references page citation. We are requiring you to put in the URL and then briefly explain in a few sentences why this particular source is helpful to your project. And that shows that you're looking at it from different points of view. The three sources should not all have the same kinds of information. They should have different kinds of information. Information pertaining to the cost, to personnel, to how this particular proposal will benefit the company because you can show that it's benefited other companies. Uh, that sort of thing. You need to have some sort of variety in those different sources. One other thing I want to point out is please keep yourself out of the paper. Now, our textbook is a bit loose in some of its examples, and you'll get to an example later on where a student model, the student uses herself, she refers to herself frequently in this particular report. There's a particular reason she does that. For our purposes and as a general practice, it's a good idea not to refer to yourself at all when you're doing a technical writing report. So don't use expressions like "I am proposing that." Write in third person. The purpose of this document is to propose. When writers refer to themselves, it tends to make the paper about them, and not so much about the purpose of the report. That can be distracting. So it's a third person sounds professional, and it creates a little bit of unnecessary distance between you, the writer, and the thing that you're proposing. And when you're making a proposal or you're doing a technical writing, it's a good idea for you as a writer to be invisible because this isn't about you. It's about the proposal. It's about how your idea is going to benefit the company. Uh, Please avoid using expressions like "I believe" or "I think" or "in my opinion." Those are basically opinion statements, and you might as well just be saying, "I'm guessing that this will help the company." That's not persuasive. Give evidence from your sources as to why your proposal is going to benefit the company. Okay. The last thing I want to touch on in this video is just a few APA elements. I'm not emphasizing APA too much in this class. I want to see you make an effort to use APA style. And that means when you are citing sources, please cite them correctly. And in the supplemental materials, I've put in a couple of videos, one of which shows you how to integrate sources into your paper. And I just want to go over a couple of things here that are quite common. And I don't want to call anybody on the spot here. These are real examples from a couple of your papers. It's totally understandable, these sorts of things. Again, I'm not putting anybody on the spot, but I think the best way for me to show this is to use real examples. So give me a second here while whoops, what did I do there? I don't know what I did there, but let me share my screen. Camera, share screen. There we are. Okay, I'm going to blow it up. All right, now I'm going to switch over to a Word document. Okay. Excuse me. First off, one thing I also want to point out is up here at the top of the page, I notice that some people type in the word resources or citations or whatever. Um, In APA style, this word is always references, and it's always plural, even if you have just one resource. So also center that and bold it. Now, this first source, uh, the citation is a YouTube video. It's actually one of the videos that you were required to watch for the journal. And when you cite a YouTube video, Uh, start with the name of the author as it's listed. And on YouTube, they always list uh, whoever uploaded the video. And for our purposes, whoever uploaded the video is the author. Okay. And let's see, I was going to try to go there, but I think I'm going to not complicate this more than it has to be. The author for this particular video was listed as Christianity 9 to 5. It's perfectly okay to list an organization as an author. One thing that people do, and some people do this when they're using a template, is they'll turn it around and they'll do something like 9 to 5, comma C, because the template tells you to use the last name and the first initial. Don't do that when you are citing an organization. Spell out the organization just as it's listed. Now, the date, I'm going by memory here, but I think it was something like August 13. Type out the full date. The name of the video, italicize that. And after that, in brackets, type in the word video. Should not be italicized. Oops. And then you've got YouTube, which is fine. Then you've got the retrieval date, which is fine. And it's always helpful if this is actually the URL is turned to a hyperlink, which you can do just by clicking on uh, enter at the end of the line there, and then get rid of the extra space there. Okay, the next one here is also poses a problem because there's no author listed. So what do you do with the author? A lot of times people will just start off with the date, but in APA style, you never start off with the date element. If no author is listed, then start off with the title of the web page or the title of the article. In this case, what we'll do is we'll move the date here, and we'll get rid of it up front, so that the source begins with the title of the article. Now, oops, let me do something else here. Here we are. Now, when you're citing a web page, APA says to italicize it. And also another thing that a little thing about APA style, and I need to go back up here and change it in the first one as well. Use lowercase for anything that's not any words that are not the first word in the sentence, a proper noun, or the first word after a colon. So up here, then we'll also need to do that as well. And then down here in the second one, we get NSLS, the name of the organization or the name of the website. That's fine, and then the URL, and that's fine as well. So that's how those should look. And if you have how you would alphabetize them is exactly as it's shown here, so that the first word of the article is where you would alphabetize it. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing now. Okay, I hope this has been helpful. Again, as always, if you have questions, reach out to me and have a wonderful week.